Hey guys, Savage Recovery back for another video. How are my savages doing? If you guys aren't subscribed, do me a favor. If you want to support the channel, subscribe, hit the bell, get all my notifications. Hit a like, comment, share, help me out with the algorithm. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, you can find me at savage_red_studios, where you can see all of my photography. And also I have a Facebook page and a Twitter. And you guys can check me out on Patreon. You guys can also check me out on the Cash App. Let's get into it.
Anyway,
Great, is it?
no. Anyway, yeah. So we've heard the term "daddy issues" a lot. So I just thought it'd be good to talk about it. And what I wanted to ask was, has your relationship with any of your dads affected your relationships in any kind of way, negatively or positively?
Okay, so getting into this, I can already tell you that women having daddy issues or their relationship with their dad affects the way that they date men and the way that they respond to men and the way that they are in relationships or live with the man, because they're not used to having a strong male role model or force, or being able to live or commingle with a man. So it's hard for women that aren't around a man to date a man. If they never grew up with a dad, it's hard to live with a man or to date a man. But we'll see what they have to say.
Well, if I knew
Mine's
who
been
he
negative.
was. Daddy,
I
how
know
are
who
you?
my father is. But,
Wherefore art thou, Daddy?
I think a majority of us do have daddy issues. I think before I would always think that whether you're in a single parent, like if you have two parents, the likelihood of you having daddy issues would be like super low. But I've actually found out whether you're in a single parent home or you're in a two parent home.
What about for you?
Okay, so again, I don't know if she's doing this subconsciously or not, or intentionally. I can't tell you either way. But I can tell you that that is bullshit. Because the logic that she has here is, well, I've found out that even people with two parents have daddy issues. Yeah, well, if you look at the statistics, kids are more likely to have teen pregnancies that come from single parent households, more likely to have drug addiction, more likely to drop out of high school, more likely to live in poverty, more likely to go to prison, more likely to commit a crime, more likely to do all these things. 80% of all people in prison come from a single parent household. But her logic here is, well, since it happens to both, she's implying that it doesn't matter if you come from a single parent household or not. But there are people that have two parents that become drug addicts. There are people that have two parents that drop out of high school. There are people with two parents that have teen pregnancies. But those are not the majority. That's not the outlier. That's not the best. That's not the odds you'd be taking. If you're going to be giving your child the best odds, which is what you're supposed to do as a parent, you're supposed to set your kids up to have the best opportunities that they can have. You would want your kids to live in the home with the mother and the father, to be in a two-parent household. You would want to spend time with your kids, teaching them stuff besides just school, to give them the best opportunities. You'd want them to be in sports, or helping them start a business, or having them learn a trade with you. You would want to do more than just be a parent and let them go to school, because you want to give them the best odds. That's why a lot of parents want their kids to go to college, because they've been told that that's going to give their kids the best odds. So I don't know if she's saying it or implying it to make it seem like it doesn't matter, but that's what her statement says right there, is that, it really doesn't matter. But we'll see what she has to say.
You personally.
For me personally, not having my dad around, I think made me want, how do I put it? Even when my dad was around, he wasn't like the greatest example.
Well, the first thing that she was going to say is, by not having her dad around, that meant that she wanted to find her dad, and that's why she went through the CC, or the the rooster carousel, or she did backflips on bananas, or she was a cucumber enthusiast, or she was trying to fill the hole of not having a father with all the men that she met. But we'll see how she corrects it.
And then him then going off and kind of doing his thing and having his own family, it just made me less aware of what men should be like. I didn't know.
It also made her less aware of how to live with a man, how to be submissive to a man, how to please a man, how to coexist with a man, how relationships between men and women go.
You know, what the average man does in a home. I didn't really know what to expect. So when it came to me kind of making decisions on the kind of guys I would date, I would say communication. I wouldn't know really how to talk to a guy. Like, what's the tone? What's the language? Like, you know, they're different. And so because I'm like growing up in a female dominant household, my interactions with men are just really minimal. So then I'm going out into the world expecting the most and not really understanding, like, all right, where is that middle ground? Where is that compromise?
Which I will break this off, and I'll break this off into layman's terms and not woman double speak. I didn't know that I couldn't yell at him or talk to him like my mom talked to her boyfriends, or how my mom talked to me, or how I talked to my mom, or how me and my sisters talk to each other. And I expected the most, but didn't know what I was bringing to the table and didn't know what to offer. I only thought that what I looked like and what I was and me being me was enough to fulfill a man. So I was unaware of how to meet him in the middle, because I expected far more from him than I was giving, and I was picking shitty guys.
So did not having your dad around make you feel empty in a sense, or like you was missing out on something, or there's a part of you that was missing?
I think what was missing, so the lack of understanding for men in my life, I would fill it in with what I would see on TV and the media and films. So anything I would see in romance movies, or anything that I would listen to in particular songs that made relationships sound amazing and made relationships just sound like, you know, it would just be like heaven on earth and a fairy tale. I kind of use that as my way to kind of fill in the gaps of what I should expect from men. Okay. So it's kind of just having like a highly warped, almost like too positive.
Having a delusional sense of reality and living in a fairy tale world, and again, trying to fill the hole with all these men that she's meeting.
Idealistic.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people in general, and I say people because I think the assumption is that daddy issues or having a father complex is something that just women experience. A lot of men actually have a father complex, and they suffer from their own daddy issues. But I think a lot of people listening, women in particular, would probably be able to relate to the fact that you didn't know how to navigate relationships with men, because your father, as a woman, as a girl, as a young girl, sets the tone for any kind of interaction or attachment you have with a man. Because that's your first, in an ideal world, that's your first interaction with a man.
Can you only have daddy issues if your dad's not around, though?
No,
Or do you
not
think
at all.
I mean, Rita, your dad's around. Your parents are still together. Has he set the tone for you?
Yeah, I would say for me, it has really defined the kind of guys I like, the kind of guys I go for, just having my dad around. But then one thing, because my dad's amazing, and the thing about my dad, he's not a word man, he's an action man.
Oh, the best.
Yeah, but I never...
Which action man is he out of the Marvels? Oh my God.
No, she means he does. Oh, okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah. But what I found when I was younger...
She really tried. She tried.
Anyway,
Sorry, Rita. What
what
you were saying?
what I found when I was younger, because my dad wasn't a man of many words, I always wanted to like impress him, and like I always wanted him to be proud of me and for him to say, I'm really proud of you. But when I was younger, that wasn't something that he said as a, a Nigerian man that's working all the time. He wasn't thinking, do you know what I mean? And he didn't really come from a background where he had a great relationship with his dad. Like he had his dad wasn't that great and stuff like that. So it made him be determined to be the best dad that he could be. So he didn't really know how to as a little.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna give you people that don't have kids, a little insight into parenting, so you can retrospect back onto your parents. A lot of people don't know what they're doing when it comes to parenting. Parenting, for the most part, is taking ideas that you've seen and heard and what you like and don't like and applying them to your children. That's it. There is no handbook that's given out when you have kids that tells you the right way to raise your children. There's not a handbook that says if your child does A, you do B. If this happens, you do this. Parenting is having some sort of morals and rules and guidelines and trying to stick to those and winging it as you go. So no one really knows what they're doing, especially with their first kid. There's actually a thing called first kid syndrome and baby syndrome. The first kid, the parents are usually stricter on, or the first child is not allowed to do as many things. But the more children you have, the more lax usually you are with the younger children, or your oldest child might not be able to do something at 15, but you let your next child do something you wouldn't let the first child do, because by the time that you've had multiple children and your children have gone into different stages of their life, you have started to figure out what works and doesn't work for you and what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And a lot of people, when they have their first kid, they're super overprotective. They want to do everything like this, everything like that. They want to make sure this is right. And you figure out that it doesn't have to be like that, and you're a little bit more lax with these kids that come after the first. Just letting you guys know, like, most parents don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, they just don't.
Girl, that's what I'd want to hear and stuff verbally. But his way of showing that he loves me was making sure that I had the right education and making sure I had the things that I needed, and that's how he showed his love. So as a young person, I didn't realize what that was, but I did find that when I did meet guys and stuff, I had this thing in me that wanted to impress them. Do you know what I mean? Same way I did with my dad. Like, so I wanted, like I said, I think I mentioned before, like.
Yeah, so men don't really show their love or care for people through their words. It's usually through their actions. A lot of the times, the reason men are working all the time when they have families is because they want to make sure that they provide for their family. They want to make sure that their family has everything that they need, and they know that if they don't, then that makes them feel less than, and makes them feel like not like a man, like they're not taking care of their responsibilities, because it's innate within men to want to take care and provide and protect. And that's why when it comes to when women get rich and men get rich, for example, when you see rappers or football players or NBA players get money, they buy their mom a house, they buy their mom a car, they take care of their family, they bring their boys with them, they put them on the payroll, they go back to their community and they start doing outreach to their community. With women really don't do that so much. When men make money, everyone around the man usually benefits. It's not so much that with women. Women operate more on an emotional level. So it's just a difference between the sexes. Like, when I date women, like, I don't really tell a woman how much I care about her or what I think or any of these things. Like, I don't reveal my emotions to women. I don't really reveal my emotions to my male friends or my family. That's not really, as a man, what you do. You do it through your actions. For example, like my mom bought a house, her first time ever owning a house. Me and my family showed up and we moved all of her stuff in 2 days from her condo to her house. That's how we show that we care. Alright guys, well that's enough for this video. This video is 25 minutes long. I just wanted to pick apart a little bit of what they talked about daddy issues, because you can clearly tell some of these women have some daddy issues. Definitely. But I could go on for hours and I could watch this video forever. But I want you to check me out and my other videos. So, as always guys, stay savage.